Hello and welcome back to RC Rugged Roach. I'm Brian and this is my channel. So you've seen the videos. These guys are driving around with their Axial SCXs, these beasts. How are they getting these drivers in there and what are they putting in there? So I decided to go with a 12-inch G.I. Joe action figure that you'll see in this video. Now I did look at some 8-inch wrestlers and all that stuff, but they just didn't work. Well, you would think that 1/6 scale human on average would be a 12-inch action figure, but the interior was not designed to fit a whole 12-inch action figure in there, and we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at how much did I have to cut off of this body to get my driver and passenger in here. So let's take a look at this. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe. I'm just really trying to get my channel off the ground, and I'm struggling a bit. I don't like to ask for favors, but if you don't mind, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you're interested in seeing more from me, please hit that subscribe button. Again, this channel is relatively new, but I am trying to get it off the ground, and your help is much appreciated. So anyway, we're going to head back indoors, and we're going to take a look at what does it take to actually put the driver and the passenger in this truck. Let's go. In today's video, we're going to take a look at adding a driver to this Axial SCX6. I've seen guys online talking about the 12-inch G.I. Joe figures will work. So I got this guy for $10. Now I do realize that I'm going to have to cut his legs off because he's simply not going to fit in there. There's not really a floorboard in these trucks. So I'm imagining I'm going to have to cut him off probably somewhere in here. Today we're going to take a look at that because while I've seen drivers in these trucks, no one has ever actually shown me how they got their driver in there, so I'm going to try to change that. We're going to learn as we go. Here we are with this top up here now, so we can start taking a look at what we need to do to get into that cabin there to get this guy situated. So I actually disconnected some wires that I've got additional wires running up there to where it's not hanging down and all that. I've got them tucked, but I unplugged these, and I'm trying to figure out which one's running up here because I'll need to disconnect that from this little harness here. I've not seen them like this. They kind of like have two little pinchers that overlap, so I guess you got to try to work one out between them and then out. So I just need that top one. After I do that, my next step is going to be just any screws that are holding that actually up. We'll get into this more. Right now I just see the 3 across here, or 4 across here. There may be some in this corner. We'll take a look and find out in the corners. Get that pulled out and see where those wires are running to in there. So anyway, I'm just going to be careful about this, getting these things taken apart, and then we'll get to the next step as soon as we get that taken care of. All right, so what I've run into so far is there's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, which the 2 on each corner holds your spotlights that's on your hood there. And I'm just going to let those kind of dangle off to the side. These 2 in the middle hold your windshield wipers. So I was trying to kind of wiggle this loose, and I noticed that this is attached. Now I may just have to remove these screws here to loosen this up, and I think it just kind of slides behind it and holds that up against that, but we'll find that out in just a minute. We'll work these little wires out of my little clip here so that we can pull this loose without damaging any wiring to our headlights here and into our spotlights for the hood. We'll get those pulled off as well. So we'll be right back with that. Alright, so I shifted gears here a little bit. I actually pulled this thing off of the truck to get to it easier. Now if you decide to pull, if you have the Honcho body and you decide to take this off the back, you're going to need a 2.5 millimeter, or if you have like a handy electric screwdriver such as this one, I have a 2.5 hex bit I put in it. Makes that a lot easier. Now when it comes to working with the plastics and stuff up here, I trust a hex driver, like a screwdriver, 2 millimeter. I trust that better. I don't want to use any power tools anywhere near the body screws. I don't need over tighteners to crack this body or anything. So anyway, like I said, these 2 in the corner you will have to remove in the bottom there at an odd angle, and so my long hex drivers would not fit in there anymore. This 2 millimeter is just too long, so I had to kind of rethink, kind of pivot, and so now I am using a standard hex wrench here, 2.5, and it is going to be just slow and painful, just slowly getting as much as I can, turn it, much as I can, turn it, much as I can, turn it. So that's going to be a slow process. But anyway, so again, you will have to remove all 4 of these. This is a light on your hood, screwdriver, screwdriver. Let me make a suggestion. If you're going to lay this flat, it's not an issue. If you're going to have it propped up like I did earlier, you may want to remove these 2 bottom ones first, because with it standing up, this was wanting to fall forward as I'm trying to unscrew these, which is a nuisance. You could cause some stress on this plastic and crack it. So if you're going to leave it attached to the vehicle and leave it propped up, please do your bottom ones first, and then you can just pop them out, then do these top and slide it right out. Anyway, we're going to continue this journey. Be right back. I was able to get my screwdriver in there and hold it down flush once 2.5 and unscrew that a little easier. Just had to give this body a little force. I was looking for any weaknesses, but everything did okay. Now this wire harness, I learned, I was sitting there trying to push them in and all that, which really I just took all 3 and slowly pulled them in that little extra thing in there. Again, they're kind of wedged in there, overlapping, but it'll pull loose without breaking anything. So just take all 3 of them, kind of pull them loose. 2.5 millimeter back here. The top area here, again, is 2 millimeters, and we are simply going to pull this out. And I will work these wires out of this to where nothing's going to get damaged. And then we'll take a look at getting this G.I. Joe guy in there. So and here we are with my Mr. G.I. Joe here. As you can see, he's definitely going to be too tall for this thing as far as the legs go. I think that if I cut them off the thighs here, I can work them, around or under the steering wheel. And then we may even be able to have his hands both on the steering wheel here. But again, I'm going to have to take some measurements. I'm simply going to measure out from where the back of the seat is, and the back of where his rear end sits, maybe right there at the beginning of his thigh. Measure this room here, and that's how much I'm going to start with taking off of his leg. I will try to do my best to include that. I do have a Dremel tool. You could probably just use a hacksaw if you had one, if you don't have a Dremel saw. All right, everybody, here we are. So his legs are a little rough right now. I just kind of cut him with that saw. You can see the rough edges. I may or may not pull him out of there and sand that down, because I'm going to put his britches back on him and cut them off. Now, as you can see, his arms go past the steering wheel. These arms that I have on this guy are pretty stiff, but, in the truck, you're probably not going to see or notice it too much, I'm hoping. It's in there pretty tight, as you can see, due to his legs. I took him all the way to the firewall. This steering wheel, I had to slowly work his legs up under it some, and then push the steering wheel, pull it up as I spread his legs and then pushed them up under it. That steering wheel and him being in there really tight, especially once I get his pants back on, he's in there pretty good. Hopefully I won't take any rough tumbles. So Anna, my beautiful lady in my life, and I are going to leave this out because I don't want to have to do all this again if I can prevent it. I am back, and I can't help but wonder how many of you who may have done this before, or were kind of looking at it from an outsider's view, were thinking, this is not going to fit. What is this guy doing? I feel like I belonged in an episode of Beavis and Butthead. If you're about my age, you understand what I mean. A little bit of, hey, Beavis, you dummy. That's not going to work or something. Anyway, that's how I feel. So you can see how much is left of my guy. Okay? So I didn't know how high I was going to, I've been taking a little off time. That was the max I was going to go. So I'll be able to put his shirt back on him. And I did actually put this in the truck. I had to get this arm out of the way here. And I put this one over. He'll be touching this Barbie's lap that I've got here, or it's supposed to represent me and my woman. So anyway, we ran to Walmart and we got this cheap Barbie. Does it look exactly like my woman? No. Is my woman as beautiful? More so. But anyway, so we're going to have to cut this woman like way up here as well. If I want to make her a little bit shorter than him, because she's a little bit shorter than me, I may have to go a little higher. But we'll play around with heights on that too. Again, I'm just using a little hacksaw to kind of cut him off. I'll smooth out his torso if I decide to. What I may have to do is his shirt I'm going to put back on him, but I'm a little concerned of trying to double sticky tape on here onto the shirt because it may not hold. So I may cut a hole in the back of his shirt down low, put some double sticky. You can see he's hollow in the middle. So I'll smooth all this out, just my personal preference. I may put a little hot glue around the edges or something just to kind of help his torso stay down low. Maybe put a little bit of double sticky on this lower back. And we'll do the same thing with Barbie. But you'll see once I get this in the truck. I did test it out. This is the appropriate height for this guy in there. And here's what we have before we put it back in the truck. I positioned their hands. It looks like she's reaching for the radio. He's kind of putting his hand over there to hold her hand, or put it on the gear shift there. Maybe put it in 4-wheel drive or something. And then I put his assault rifle back here behind him. You know, when you go out in the woods, you're doing some trailing, doing some rock climbing, you know, he's probably been swimming, no shirt on, just kind of drying off. She's got like a printed on bathing suit. Got his gun for protection. And yeah, we're good to go now. I think this is going to look good inside the truck.
Well, they ask me why I sound like this, with a 6-string growl and a hammer fist twist. Why I talk back when I should behave. Why I show up loud like I'm digging a grave. I say, son, I ain't here for your rules or permission. I was raised up proud on a rebel ignition. 'Cause I was born to raise hell, it's in my bones. Crank is skinnered loud on a rotary phone. My daddy drank whiskey, my granddad did too. So don't be surprised when I howl